Today our topic is qualitative discussion of proton-proton scattering at low energy. Till now we have discussed bound state of two nuclei, that is deuteron, and the neutron-proton scattering. We know that to discuss or to derive the characteristics of nuclear force, we can study a bound state of nucleus and nucleon-nucleon scattering. In nucleon-nucleon scattering, we have discussed neutron-proton scattering at low energy. Now, we would like to discuss proton-proton scattering at low energy. We know that a bound state of two protons we don't find in nature, and therefore it is not possible to study a bound state of two protons, and therefore it is not possible to study the nature of nuclear force between two protons. Therefore, it is necessary to study the proton-proton scattering to derive certain characteristics of nuclear force which presents between two protons. Proton-proton scattering experiments are easier to perform and interpret than PN experiments, proton-neutron scattering experiments, because of the following reasons. Let us discuss one by one. First reason is that protons are readily available over a wide range of energies. It is very difficult to find neutrons because we know that the lifetime of neutron is very less outside the nucleus. Therefore, to perform neutron-proton scattering experiment is very difficult. But protons are readily available over a wide range of energies, and therefore it is very easy to perform proton-proton scattering experiments. Again, protons can be made non protons can be made monochromatic in energy. The best reaction to produce monochromatic neutrons is deuteron plus H3 equal to He4 plus neutron. For the successful completion of any scattering experiment, we should have neutrons or the bombarding particles, any bombarding particles of monochromatic energy. Otherwise, this will lead to bad results or bad conclusions or wrong conclusions. Third point is protons can be produced in well collimated beams, because we know that in nucleon scattering experiments it is necessary to have bombarding particles in a form of well collimated beam. Protons can be easily detected by their ionizing properties, while in case of neutron-proton scattering experiments, the scattered neutrons, it is very difficult to identify the scattered neutrons after the scattering, because we know that neutrons are neutral particle, and the detectors which we use in scattering experiments are all based on their ionizing properties. So protons can be easily detected. Next point is protons undergo Coulomb scattering simultaneously with the nuclear scattering, because we know that protons are having positive charges, and therefore when they come in contact with each other or near to each other in a scattering experiment, then there will be two effects. Proton will repel a proton, and within a certain range proton will attract the bombarding proton, and therefore there is a possibility that there will be interference effect between this attractive force and the repulsive force between two protons. Another important point is that the proton proton combination obeys Fermi statistics, whereas in the neutron proton combination, states symmetric with respect to particle interchange as well as antisymmetric states occur. This simplifies the analysis of proton proton scattering. Now, let us discuss the second part of this topic, that is, theory of PP scattering. The theory of PP scattering is more complicated than the NP scattering because of the presence of Coulomb potential in addition to the nuclear potential. So that's why, while the proton proton scattering experiments are easier to perform, but the analysis is very difficult because its theory is very difficult. Other problem arises from the fact that scatterer and scattered particles are identical, because we know that both are protons, both are similar, identical, and therefore it is very difficult that the detector which detects the particle is whether it is a scattered particle or the scatterer particle. Since scattering and scattered particles are identical and obey Pauli's exclusion principle, the wave function describing two protons must change sign on the interchange of the two particles. Hence, a symmetric space wave function means uh, having L equal to 0 or 2 or 4 or 6, or I can say L value, L having even values, can only be associated with an antisymmetric means singlet spin wave function, whereas a symmetric, that is triplet spin wave function, is required for an antisymmetric space wave function. The fact that two particles are identical also has another effect. Since a recorder cannot distinguish between the scatterer and scattered particle, it is impossible to distinguish between a small angle scattering event and a large angle scattering event, as you can observe from this diagram. Because when detector detects a particle, it we are not certain whether this particle is scattered at an angle of theta or this particle is scattered at an angle of pi minus theta, because both are protons. So detector will not identify whether this proton is a scattered particle or a scatterer. So to counter this problem, to overcome this problem, in the theory, this fact is taken into account by adding the wave in the direction pi minus theta to the outgoing wave in the direction theta. Now, for incident protons of energy below 10 MeV, since we are discussing the proton proton scattering experiments at low energy, so we will confine our discussion below 10 MeV. So, for incident protons of energy below 10 MeV, only the S state interaction is of any importance in the scattering. S state interaction means the particle, the protons which involved in this scattering will be significantly having L equal to 0 value. Protons in higher angular momentum states, that is L equal to 1, 2, 3, stay apart from each other beyond the range of the nuclear force. Adjoining figure shows a potential energy diagram for proton-proton scattering. As you can observe in this diagram, nuclear part of the potential is shown by a square well, and beyond the square well there is a curve which is decreasing slowly as we go away from 0. This part shows the repulsive force between two protons beyond a certain distance. The theory of PP scattering, as I have discussed earlier, is more complicated than that of NP scattering because the Coulomb potential appreciably distorts the incident wave even at finite distances. The radial wave equation for proton proton scattering can be written as d square u upon dr square plus 2m h cross square multiplied by e minus vnr minus e square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r minus l into l plus 1 h cross square upon 2m r square multiplied by u is equal to 0. Here in this equation there is an additional term, that is minus e square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r. This term we included because of the fact that there is a possibility that when two protons come close to each other, they might repel each other. So this is the Coulomb potential. This term represents the Coulomb potential. In this term, V and R is the square well potential. From the above figure, we note that the Coulomb potential decreases with the increasing R as 1 upon R, in contrast to the centrifugal potential which decreases as 1 upon R square. For low energies, the nuclear potential will affect only the L equal to 0 partial wave, but the Coulomb field also produces higher L value scattering. The resulting formula for the low energy proton-proton differential cross section we will discuss in the next topic. Thank you.